Good day, everyone. Our topic for today is all about class and socioeconomic status. The first and second subtopics will be discussed by yours truly, which is class and socioeconomic status, while the third to the last subtopics will be discussed by Ms. Charlene Buar. So, class is a system that differentially structures group access to economic, political, cultural, and social resources. Anderson and Collins, 2013. It determines the school we attend, the stores in which we shop, the restaurants at which we eat, the community in which we live, and the jobs to which we have access. Class identity. Most people, if asked, can identify themselves by class, which for most people is probably the middle class. They may not strongly vocalize their identification with a specific class, but they participate socially and occupationally within a class structure. Their behavior and value system may be based on a strong ethnic or religious identification, but that specific identification is greatly influenced by their economic circumstances. Social stratification. Social stratification is a society's system for ranking individuals and families. People with higher incomes and prestigious careers have greater status, wealth, and influence on who is elected and the development of policies that support their needs. Many people in the United States receive high or low rankings. If they have been born into high-ranking socioeconomic positions, they will have advantages and privileges over children who were born in lower-ranking groups. Socioeconomic status. The economic condition of a person or group is measured using a criterion called socioeconomic status, or SES. It serves as a composite of the economic status of a family or an individual on the basis of occupation, educational attainment, and income. Related to these three factors are wealth and power, which also help determine an individual's SES but are more difficult to measure. Income. Income is the amount of money earned in wages or salaries throughout a year. One way to look at income distribution is by dividing the population into fifths. The lowest one-fifth has the lowest income, and the highest one-fifth has the highest income. Figure 1 shows the percentage of total income earned by each fifth of the population. The top fifth of the population earned 51% of the total income, whereas the bottom fifth earned 3% of the total income. High incomes are reserved for the privileged few. The top 5% of U.S. families with the highest incomes earned 22% of the total income of all families. And the wealthiest families are becoming even wealthier. The top 1 of wealth holders own 30% of the nation's wealth. Although the difference in income among families is great, an examination of income alone does not reveal the vast differences in the way families live. The wealth of a family includes saving accounts, insurance, corporate stock ownership, and property. Wealth provides a partial guarantee of future income and has the potential of producing additional income and wealth. Occupation. Income for most people is determined by their occupation. Generally speaking, income is a fair measure of occupational success, both of the importance of the occupation to society and of one's skill at the job. In addition to providing an income, a person's job is an activity that is considered important. Individuals who are unemployed often are stigmatized as non-contributing members of society who cannot take care of themselves. Education. The best predictor of occupational prestige is the amount of education required for the job. Financial compensation is usually greater for occupations that require more years of education. For example, medical doctors and lawyers remain in school for several years beyond a bachelor's degree program. Education is rightfully viewed as a way to enhance one's economic status. However, impressive educational credentials are much more likely to be achieved as a result of family background than because of other factors. Power. Individuals and families at the upper SES levels exert more power than those at any other level. These individuals are more likely to sit on state or local policy boards, boards of colleges and universities, and boards of corporations. They determine who receives benefits and rewards in governmental, occupational, and community affairs.
Many Americans identify themselves as a middle class. It is an amorphous category that can include everyone who works steadily and is not a member of upper class. It ranges from well-paid professionals to service workers. Most white-collar workers, no matter what their salary, see themselves as a middle class. Manual workers, in contrast, may view themselves as a working class rather than as a middle class. Even though their incomes and cultural values may be similar to those of many white-collar workers, the unemployed and the homeless. The portion of population who suffer the most from lack of stable income or other economic resources is the unemployed and the homeless. Families and people in poverty have been socially isolated from the dominant society. They usually are not integrated into or welcome in the communities of other classes. The law requires a school district to provide transportation from homeless students to keep them in their school or origin if requested by their parents or guardians. Unemployment impact or homeless person particularly hard given that they are often facing numerous other challenges. The lack of access to employment contributes to homeless people not having sufficient and sustained income to meet basic needs. This is particularly so for those who do not receive welfare assistance. Example, people without conventional accommodations such as those living in the streets, sleeping in parks, shades or hampies, squatting in derelict building, or using cars or railway carriages for temporary shelter. If you are fired from your job and do not have a new one, this is an example of unemployment. The working class are those that require manual work, for which income varies widely depending on the skills required in the specific job. A factor that is important in defining the working class is the subordination of members to the capitalist control of production. Blue-collar workers are engaged primarily in manual work that is routine and mechanical. The level of education required for most of this job is not high as for white-collar jobs, which are not mechanical and less routine. Blue-collar workers are generally hard workers who are performing important work for society. They want to have financially stable life as everyone else does, and they hope that their children will have a better life than their own. The middle class includes members of the working class, managers, and professionals who do not see themselves as either poor or rich. It includes families from all ethnic and racial groups, and both immigrant and native families. The middle class or middle classes are the people in the society who are not working class or upper class. Business people, manager, doctors, lawyers, and teachers are usually regarded as a middle class. The upper middle class is the social group constituted by higher status member of the middle class. This is contrast to the term lower middle class, which is used for the group at the opposite of the middle class stratum, and to the broader term middle class. The upper middle class is often made up of highly educated business and professional people with high incomes such as doctors, lawyers, stockholders, and CEOs. The The upper class refers to a group of individuals who occupy the highest place and status in society. These people are considered the wealthiest, lying above the working and middle class in the social hierarchy. The upper class includes aristocratic and high society families with old money who have been rich for generations. These extremely wealthy people live off the income from their inherited riches. Economic inequality refers to how economic variables are distributed among the individuals in the group, among group in the population, or among countries. Development theory has largely been concerned with inequalities in standard of living, such as inequalities in income, wealth, education, health, and nutrition. Race and ethnicity are two similar but different concepts. Race refers to a category of people who share specific distinctive physical characteristics or traits, such as skin color. Ethnicity refers to a state of belonging to a shared social or cultural group, such as Black or African American. It is a well-known fact that Americans, specifically people of color, know that being identified as white is an advantage in society. In fact, Americans generally think being white is an advantage in society, while about half or more say being Black or Hispanic hurts people's ability to get ahead, including being unable to receive access to excellent quality education and job opportunities. Gender inequality is discrimination on the basis of sex or gender, causing one sex or gender to be routinely privileged or prioritized over another. Example: child marriage is one of the most devastating examples of gender inequality. It limits women's opportunities and their ability to reach their full individual potential. Age inequality, also called age discrimination, is when someone treats you unfairly because of your age. It can also include the way that older people are represented in the media, which can have a wider impact on the public attitudes. Your employer refuses to allow you to a training course because she thinks you are too old, but allows younger to do a training. Many social reformers, educators, and parents view education as a powerful device for achieving social change and reducing poverty. By the 1960s, many students from low-income families were still not achieving academically at the same levels as their more economically advantaged peers and were still dropping out of school at a higher rates. Students from low-income families typically take fewer courses in mathematics and science than their more affluent peers, which contributes to later disparities in college enrollment and vocational choices. Teacher expectations are ideas teachers hold about the potential achievement of students. They are important because they determine the level of types of instruction teacher plan for students and can have a substantial impact on student outcomes. In helping to overcome the stigma of poverty, educators must consciously review their expectation for students. Students' feeling of low esteem should not be reinforced by teacher. Seeing students as the individuals rather than as a member of specific socioeconomic group may assist educator in overcoming the classism that exists in the school and the community. Cracking students into different groups based on their intellectual abilities is common educational practice. Teachers divide the class into smaller groups for instructional purposes. This group could have a heterogeneous makeup, with each group containing girls and boys from different ethnic groups and students who are currently high and low achievers. Tracking occurs when students are assigned to courses based on their perceived intellectual abilities or other characteristics, such as speaking a language other than English or having a disability. For example, a student at a higher level in math may attend a class with advanced math students, but if at a lower level in English, they may be grouped with peers at their level in English. Equality in education means equalization of individual differences among the learners. Every individual should get equal and suitable opportunity to cultivate his or her talent and receive education according to his or her needs, abilities, and aptitudes. Embedding equality and diversity in the curriculum is the creating of learning, teaching, and assessment environment and experience that proactively eliminate discrimination, promote equality of opportunity, and foster good relation in a manner that values, preserve, and respond to diversity. Equality means that the curriculum should not disadvantage any student or group of students because of their background or characteristics.